Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk coming at you on a Thursday. Hi, hello, and how are you? Dan Lucero with you. Delighted to be with you. Disappointed that our time is short today, but it's for a good reason. We are with you. I am with you for the next 1 hour. And just ahead of 4 o'clock, we will throw it to 580 Preps high school basketball coverage from the Thunderbird Invitational at Shawnee Heights High School. It is tournament week for the big schools in girls basketball after it was boys basketball tournament week last week. We brought you coverage from the Topeka Invitational Tournament. This Thursday and Friday, we have coverage from the Thunderbird Invitational featuring Washburn Rural and Shawnee Heights. And in order, we will hear those teams tonight as Washburn Rural faces Life Prep Academy from Wichita, and Shawnee Heights battles Wichita South. Brendan Dorzinski and the coach, Larry Latimer, will be on the call, and we'll throw to them just ahead of 4 o'clock for doubleheader coverage tonight here on 580 WYBW and FM 104.9, which means our time together, as I mentioned, is short. It's you and me for the next hour, and we're going to have a good time. We're going to hear from Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's not just you and me for the next hour. We're also going to hear Brendan and me, because earlier today we talked to the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. Usually joins us Thursday at 5:30. We moved him up today. He was gracious enough to speak with us earlier today, so we've got that conversation for you, and it is classic Mitch Holthus all the way around. So I know you're going to enjoy that conversation. We're going to bring that to you at the bottom of the hour. We'll get to some other NFL news and notes today. The first of the coaching vacancies has been filled in the NFL. The Carolina Panthers have a head coach, and the New York Jets have an offensive coordinator, although I don't know that they have a very good one or a very sound reason for why they hired the one that they did. And we'll see how many of those we can squeeze into today's program as well. We'll also welcome your input, as always, on the Big O Tires text line. That's 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429. Again, we only have this hour together, so we'll squeeze in as many texts as we can. Also, comments from the YouTube Peanut Gallery, the YouTube chat. If you're watching on YouTube, hi, guys. YouTube.com/@SportsOn580. We are live streaming this hour of the show. It is just me. Unfortunately, I must tell Vance that I've actually figured out how to use the real graphics now. So the Dan graphics are a thing of the past. Maybe someday I'll bring them back, but we've got the real graphics today for this hour on the YouTube. But if you are inclined to watch the show, or you want to go back and watch it later on, subscribe to us on YouTube. Doesn't cost you a dime. Just click the button. Search for Sports on 580 WIBW on YouTube. That's our account. That's all of our video content, including the live shows. Subscribe, click, watch, enjoy on YouTube. However you are consuming the program today, I sure appreciate you doing so. And because we don't have a lot of time together, should go ahead and jump right into discussion of the AFC Championship game, which is coming up in a matter of days. And there is more encouraging video of Patrick Mahomes. His right foot is still attached to his body via his ankle. He was participating again fully in drills today. Told the media that it felt better yesterday than he expected it to. And again, it's like the Zapruder film when you get the media's availability or practice availability. They can film from really far away. So you're looking all the way across the football field saying, yeah, I guess that is Patrick Mahomes. You're squinting and, trying to pinch zoom on your phone to really look at the video. Yeah, I guess, that does. I think that is Patrick Mahomes in the yellow jersey, going through drills and looking spry and feeling good. Even gave us a little twirl doing some of the plyometrics before practice really got heated up. So the news is as good as it could possibly be, I think, for Mahomes and by proxy for the Chiefs heading into Sunday. And we have talked about it all week because I think it's interesting. We think it's interesting how this reflects on the betting markets for this game that when the initial point spread was posted at sportsbooks in Las Vegas and on your cell phones, if you indeed live in Kansas or any other state where sports gambling is legal, the Kansas City Chiefs were a favorite, as much as a 2.5-point favorite in some places. And that very quickly changed to a line that was as big as 2.5 points in favor of the Bengals. Well, this morning, line hopped right back over the fence. And as of right now, in most places, including with our dear friends at FanDuel, the Kansas City Chiefs are once again favored to win the AFC Championship game. They are 1-point favorites as we speak, which reflects renewed confidence in Patrick Mahomes' ability to go and be Patrick Mahomes, or at the very least, something like what we expect from Patrick Mahomes. I think the biggest fear going into Sunday was that Mahomes either couldn't play. He was going to try and give it a go in practice and just decided he couldn't do it. And the Chiefs were going to run Chad Henne out there with a berth in the Super Bowl on the line. Or that Mahomes could play, but he wouldn't be able to move. He'd be a statue. It'd be like me standing in the pocket if I were 27 years old and had a laser rocket arm and an incredible understanding of defenses and Travis Kelce to throw to. So not really like me, but not ambulatory is the point I'm trying to get at here. The idea that Mahomes would be unable to navigate the pocket or get outside of the pocket, would be restricted to being strictly a pocket passer like you used to see in the 90s, like old Dan Marino, like Boomer Esiason standing back there, just a statue. I think that was the fear. And I think that given the evidence we have, even the video evidence from far away, given what Andy Reid has said, given what Patrick Mahomes has said, it sure seems like that's not going to be the case. We shouldn't expect Patrick Mahomes to win a lot of foot races on Sunday or anytime soon. High ankle sprains take some time to heal from 100%. But he has looked comfortable enough and has sounded comfortable enough that I would not assume either that Mahomes will be strictly limited to the pocket, that he might be able to maneuver as well as he's capable of maneuvering, extend some plays, and make some of that Mahomes magic that we've become accustomed to seeing. And it's not just me thinking that. It's not just the wishful thinking of the Chiefs Kingdom. It is also, again, being reflected in the betting markets, which have once again made the Chiefs a favorite to win on Sunday after they were underdogs by as many as 2.5 points a little over 24 hours ago. So it's fascinating how that's evolved, to me anyway. And it goes to show that the news about Mahomes is as good as it can possibly be. I think Vance asked a very valid question in the YouTube comments. Has anyone tested to see if Mahomes is human? Yeah, I mean, he might be. He might be Wolverine. He might be made of adamantium. If he goes out there and he's scrambling all over the place on a high ankle sprain and he's making crazy plays on a injury that would probably keep like a wide receiver or a defensive back out for at least one game, yeah, I think we will have to then wonder if maybe he was sent to us from a different planet. Not that I haven't wondered that many a time when watching the greatness of number 15, but that would be further evidence that, yeah, maybe he is. Maybe he's made of adamantium. Maybe he's just not this. He's built different in a maybe in a quite literal sense. But it will be Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow facing off in the AFC Championship game for a second straight year. And I already hate the national discourse surrounding this game. I shouldn't say already. We're all the way down the line to Thursday now, right? We're getting closer and closer to the game. But even as early as Monday and Tuesday, I was growing to hate the national discourse surrounding this game, particularly the idea that if Joe Burrow's team beats Patrick Mahomes' team, then Joe Burrow, the quarterback, has surpassed Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback, in the hierarchy of AFC and perhaps indeed NFL quarterbacks. I am begging you, if you happen to be a national television or radio pundit hearing the sound of my voice, stop it. Just stop it. If the Bengals beat the Chiefs on Sunday, it will mean precisely that the Bengals have beaten the Chiefs, that for a second straight year and a fourth straight meeting in those two seasons, the Bengals have indeed conquered the team that ruled the AFC in the 2 years prior to 2022, or 2021, I should say. That the conference would then belong to the Bengals, all 53 of them, and their head coach, Zach Taylor, and their defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo. The Bengals would be the top dogs, the undisputed top dogs in the AFC. There's no getting around that. And then they'd be 60 minutes away from being the NFL's top dogs, the new team to beat in the league, in the way that the Chiefs have been, in the way that for almost the entire 2010s, the Patriots were that team, except for that brief window in the middle when the Seahawks were that team for about 2 to 3 years. There's always a team to beat, right? And this is for that mantle. This is for that status. But as it pertains to who's the better quarterback, look, man, Patrick Mahomes and what he's done in his career, what he's already accomplished, the Super Bowl ring on his finger, the Super Bowl MVP that accompanied it, the MVP trophy that he has, and the one he's about to add to his collection. Joe Burrow just made the Pro Bowl for the first time in his career. Okay? Now, if Joe Burrow goes out and wins a ring this year, he's 2 wins away from that, and they've got as talented a roster as any of the teams left. It would not be out of the question, out of the ordinary, if Burrow and the Bengals climb the mountain and make that leap that eluded them last year and raise the Lombardi Trophy at the end of this season. Nobody should be shocked if that's how this goes. And if and when Joe Burrow gets to hold the Lombardi Trophy above his head, then yeah, I'm good with having the conversation about Joe Burrow as an all-timer, about Joe Burrow as top of the charts elite, but better than Patrick Mahomes? Look, man, there's only one Patrick Mahomes. There's a reason that rather than call him by his name, ESPN and HBO sports personality Bomani Jones has taken to just calling him Jordan, because that's what he is. Among the quarterbacks that are playing today, there are other fabulously gifted quarterbacks. There are other accomplished quarterbacks. But there's only one best guy doing it right now, and it's the one wearing number 15 for the Kansas City Chiefs. If his team isn't as good as Joe Burrow's team right now, that's not because Patrick Mahomes is suddenly a lesser quarterback. If his team for a second year in a row is unable to get over the hump against the Bengals, that doesn't make Patrick Mahomes a lesser quarterback. And here's the real reason why the Bengals have had this advantage and why they might even have a bit of a talent edge going into Sunday. If you've ever played a video game, I'm mostly a sports video game guy myself. I never really got into like Fortnite, Call of Duty. Like I would play, Mario Kart or GoldenEye when I was a kid, but for the most part, and currently as a man in my mid 30s, if I'm playing a video game, it's a sports game. It's I'm big into NBA 2K23 right now. I love to play MLB The Show every year. PGA 2K23 is a lot of fun. But like I play the sports games. Now on the sports games, you've got the easy mode and you've got the hard mode. Right? Easy mode, you turn it on. You don't want to challenge. You don't want to figure things out. You're going to turn a lot of the settings off. You just want to build a super team. You just want to be as good as you can be and win all the time and win championships. That's the fantasy world you want to live in when you fire up your PlayStation, your Xbox, or whatever, and you play the game on easy mode. The Cincinnati Bengals right now are on easy mode. They are on NFL easy mode. And the reason that they're on NFL easy mode is because they have acquired the one cheat code that allows you to play the rest of the game on easy mode. They have a quarterback on a rookie contract. The Philadelphia Eagles are on easy mode too. The San Francisco 49ers are on easy mode. Isn't that interesting? That there are 3 teams playing on easy mode that are all playing on Sunday. Think of the teams that are on hard mode, like the Dallas Cowboys. They're not playing. There are a lot of teams on hard mode that didn't even sniff the playoffs this year. The Broncos are playing on hard mode. They didn't get close to the playoffs. Raiders are on hard mode, not even close. The Bengals are on easy mode. The cap number for Joe Burrow this year was less than $10 million. Next year, Joe Burrow will have a cap number of $11.5 million. He will have the 5th highest cap number of any member of the Cincinnati Bengals. That is easy mode. That is how you can assemble the Voltron of skill position talent with 2 viable number 1 wide receivers and a viable number 2, borderline number 1 as your 3rd wide receiver in Tyler Boyd, and a standout running back in Joe Mixon, and all those signings they made to bolster the offensive line. That's how you can do that, because you have Joe Burrow as your 5th most expensive guy or your 5th highest cap number. That's easy mode. This is year 2 for the Chiefs on hard mode. They had easy mode. Easy mode was Patrick Mahomes on a rookie deal. You know what it looked like for the Chiefs in easy mode? Back-to-back Super Bowls and a Super Bowl championship. That was the Chiefs on easy mode. But when you have the quarterback, the generational talent quarterback, easy mode gets jumped up to hard mode. And in hard mode last year, Chiefs missed an opportunity. And then hard mode got really hard. Hard mode gets harder as you go, because now you have to make decisions about your other super talented guys. Chiefs had to make a hard decision about Tyreek Hill. Ended up trading him. Ended up as close to rebuilding as you'll ever get around a superstar quarterback. Where are the Chiefs in year 2 on hard mode, where their quarterback's cap number this year is $35 million and his cap number next year is $46 million? Where are the Chiefs on hard mode? In their 2nd consecutive AFC championship game. So remember that about the Chiefs and the Bengals, and where the Bengals are in their life cycle and where the Chiefs are in theirs, and where Joe Burrow is at in terms of the talent around him and where Patrick Mahomes is with the talent around him. Patrick Mahomes is doing this on hard mode. The Chiefs are doing this on hard mode. So to suggest that if the Chiefs are to fall short again on Sunday, it's a Mahomes failure, I don't know about that. I mean, that'll feed the hot take beast. That'll, I'm sure, help those guys on FS1 get infomercial ratings on their morning shows. But it won't be a real reflection of who the best quarterback in the league is. If the Bengals have the better team right now, and they really might, then they're going to win on Sunday. If the Chiefs have the better team, then they'll put it together, and they can win. Or that might not happen, because last year the Chiefs had a better team than the Bengals, and they didn't win. It's one game. That's why we don't draw these sweeping conclusions about one game. And the body of work tells you that the best quarterback before and after what happens on Sunday night at Arrowhead Stadium is Patrick Mahomes. And why it won't feel like the end of the world if the Chiefs lose a 3rd AFC championship game in 5 years. You know who else did that once? Tom Brady. He lost 3 AFC title games in a 5-year stretch once, 5 years in a row. One of those he lost to Joe Flacco. You know what Brady did after that? Won 3 straight AFC title games. Would you put that past Patrick Mahomes? No, you wouldn't. Do you think Joe Burrow can do it on hard mode? We'll see. I'm not ruling that out. He's a hell of a player. But let's pump the brakes, right? Let's pump the brakes on the legacy game for Patrick Mahomes. No, it's not that. It's just 2 really, really great teams. One quarterback making a bid to be an all-time great, one who's already there. We'll take a short break. We'll come back with some NFL news and notes, plus your text from the Big O Tires text line on this short edition of 580 Sports Talk.
A person who has never made a mistake, well, that person doesn't exist. The only real mistake is the one from which you learn nothing. If you've had past banking challenges, it's Central time. Central National Bank's new Opportunity Checking gives you a second chance to have a first-class checking account. Central has created access to banking services for those who may not have previously had it. This account includes all of the features of a traditional checking account with minimal fees and no minimum balance requirement. It's a great way to rebuild your banking history. New Opportunity Checking from Central National Bank. It's money for life, the way you live today. To find out more, click New Opportunity Checking at centralnational.com. Account opening subject to qualifications. Restrictions may apply.
Central National Bank, money for life.
.328 on a shortened version of 580 Sports Talk. We're already halfway done. Again, sending it to high school basketball coverage at the bottom of the hour, or rather at the top of the 4 o'clock hour, I should say. Brendan Dworzinski, Larry Latimer on the call. The Thunderbird Classic girls basketball action, a doubleheader starting at 4 o'clock right here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9. A couple of texts real quick from the Big O Tires text line. From the 785, I think we can agree the Chiefs and Bengals are pretty evenly matched. Says it will come down to execution at a high level, making the fewest mistakes. That's kind of how it's been the last 3 times out. And it's just been the Chiefs making the one mistake, the one critical mistake that ends up being costly, that ends up being game turning. And if they can avoid that, they've got a chance. I mean, they've led in all 3 of those meetings against the Bengals. And last year, they led pretty big in both meetings before the Bengals rallied. This year, the gap, I think, is a little closer. And you might even be able to argue me successfully that the Bengals have a better roster, maybe better 1 through 53. They're awful tough on defense. Even with no superstars, they're awful tough on defense. We're going to break down the matchup much, much more with Mitch Holthus here in just a moment. And, of course, tomorrow on 580 Sports Talk on our Red Friday with our keys to the game and our Big Chief and our predictions for the game. Also, from the 316 of the Big O Tires text line, the only legacy the Bengals will cement into their history is becoming the 3rd team in the NFL to lose the only 4 Super Bowls they've ever played in if they make it this year. They join the Vikings and the Bills if indeed they were the 0-4 club. The Broncos were in the 0-4 club once upon a time. Frankly, I liked it better when they were. Couple of quick NFL notes. The Carolina Panthers have a new head coach. It's Frank Reich, the former head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. He was selected today to be the new head boss. Reich did not handle the quarterback situation very well there in Indianapolis, which is a big reason that he was let go. But the other reason he was let go is that Bob Irsay's starting to lose his mind a little bit. Or Jim Irsay, excuse me. Not Bob, not his dad. Jim Irsay starting to lose his mind a little bit. They might really hire Jeff Saturday. Man, wouldn't that be something? They go out and they hire Jeff Saturday. I kind of feel like Steve Wilkes got a bit of a raw deal. I really do. I thought that the Panthers played hard for Steve Wilks. They were 6-6 with Wilks as their interim coach after Matt Rule got fired. I think he's earned a second chance somewhere. Carolina would have made a lot of sense. You know, he had a terrible 1-year stint in Arizona, but I think he proved he deserves to be one of those second chance opportunity guys. It just won't be with Carolina. Also, some reporting from NFL reporter Mark Maskey that there has been an issue with Sean Payton's interview with the Denver Broncos. On Twitter, Payton likes the idea of coaching Russell Wilson and having that defense, but fears a potential power struggle with a member of the ownership group. That's always a good sign. Yeah, I don't know if I want to butt heads with the Walmart people. If that's how the Broncos lose out on Sean Payton, that will be very funny to me. But I honestly think they're better off keeping their draft picks and hiring somebody like DeMeco Ryans anyway. This might be Sean Payton saving the Broncos from themselves. Mitch Holthus joins us next here on 580 Sports Talk. .335 on 580 Sports Talk. Again, 580 Preps high school basketball coverage from the Thunderbird Classic at Shining Heights High School coming up in just about 20 minutes or so. Earlier today, Brendan and I caught up with Mitch Holthus, the great voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. As always, our conversations are brought to you by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. And Mitch, as you can imagine, had plenty to say about the upcoming AFC Championship game. So without any further ado, here's our conversation with Mitch Holthus.
Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, who joins us every single Thursday, kind enough to be flexible with us and join us a little bit early. First, Mitch, we appreciate it. Looking back to this past week's game against Jacksonville before we look ahead to the game with the Cincinnati Bengals coming up this week, I did want to ask, what stood out to you the most about the way the Chiefs were able to gut out that win against a good and improving Jacksonville team?
That the Chiefs team was able to carry over some of the three-phase performance they did against the Raiders to close out the regular season and apply it into the Jacksonville game. It took all three phases to beat a feisty Jacksonville team, as we previewed last Thursday night. But for the defense to get those two big takeaways when it mattered the most, the fumble recovery inside the 5 by Bolton, and then to get the athletic interception by Jalen Watson was big. Wasn't a big stat day with Patrick Mahomes, of course, with his injury at the end of the first quarter. But for the offensive line to say, put every backpack you can find on us, we will take you up the hill, and to go 98 yards for a touchdown with Chad Henne as a backup quarterback is pretty noteworthy. And then for special teams, for Harrison Butker to hit 2 50-yard field goals, and for Tommy Townsend to be brilliant again. I mean, brilliant in net punting to average right around 46 yards net, and he flipped the field on 2 occasions. And fans just easily can dismiss that, but it was huge in getting that Chiefs victory. So we wanted to see it carry over. We saw it against the Jacksonville Jaguars, a vastly improved team and a team that will be a factor Jacksonville in 2023.
You have to say, too, it's pretty nice to have a trustworthy backup quarterback like Chad Henne, huh?
Well, there's several things. One is the system that is in place. I mean, Andy Reid has done this before. He did it with Matt Moore, filling in for Mahomes to beat Minnesota and almost beat Green Bay in 2019, where the Chiefs probably don't get to play at home in the playoffs or even win the division. And the same thing has been done when he's had to throw in. He threw in Henne against Cleveland when the game's on the line in the divisional playoffs in 2020, the COVID season. So it says a lot about the way Andy Reid and the staff prepares everybody on this roster. It says a lot about Henne, who stays involved like he's starting every week. He only had 2 passes all year, attempts, and only played in 2 playoff games in 15 seasons, and he played like a champion in both of them at the divisional round. And then thirdly, as I mentioned, to have the offensive line say, jump on my back. We're 98 yards from the promised land. This is going to be a long trip. We'll take you there. And that was big in all 3 circumstances, just to see how continually, time and time again, where normally in the National Football League it should bode disaster. But instead for the Chiefs, they find an opportunity.
As we look ahead then, Mitch, to the AFC Championship game, it is incredible, truly incredible that the Chiefs are back there again this year. Historic stuff to be back for a 5th year in a row. And there are so many interesting parts about this game between narratives and matchups, and we'll get to as much of it as we can here in a moment. But obviously, the biggest storyline going into it is the health of the all-world quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Now, we have seen on social media the last couple of days videos of him looking fairly spry from when reporters have been able to go to the open portion of practice. We've heard confidence from him, from his teammates, from Andy Reid, etc., that he is on track to be able to play. But how much is going to have to change, if anything is going to change, game plan-wise or just offensive ability-wise, if he's not quite 100% on that ankle?
Truthfully, 0. Maybe they're not going to run sprint option like they ran last week, but who knows? Maybe they will. But the volume of this offense is so vast that there's nothing really that's going, well, that's going to put a governor on the engine. You're only going to be able to drive 55 miles an hour in the truck. No, that's not true. I mean, everything's in play right now with this team. And even with his, setback with the injury. So it's been amazing what Patrick has been able to do. I mean, I've been asked 10,000 times about it. So has Coach. Coach has been asked so many times his ankle starts to hurt. And for me, it's somewhere between the scale of, oh, he's on his last breaths, Patrick Mahomes. Not sure he'll make it through the night, to, oh, my cousin's realtor's neighbor saw him on a skateboard going down the street in bare feet. I mean, that's what you deal with in weeks like this. And it's not so bad as locally and regionally as it is nationally. People just come up with some crazy stuff.
Our guest is Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. He joins us as he regularly does on Thursdays, thanks to our friends from Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. Mitch, there's obviously lots of tangible X's and O's stuff about this Bengals Chiefs matchup that is so fascinating and has accounted for the fact that the last 3 games, though they've all gone Cincinnati's way, have all been field goal games in which the Chiefs have led at one point. Tight games, as tight as they get in the NFL. But I want to nod at an intangible thing first. When you are a team that has been to now 5 straight AFC championship games, when you have a core that has won a championship, that has played for another in Super Bowls in recent years, I got to believe there's an element of pride that kicks in for these Chiefs teams in games like this. Not arrogance, but pride in who they are, what they've accomplished, and what they're capable of. How important is that? How does that factor in a week like this when there's lots of outside noise and you know that the Bengals are talking junk because they're 3-0 up in this series of late? How do you think that pride these Chiefs have, these veterans in particular, will manifest itself in the preparation and the play on Sunday?
The NFL is so popular and people are so into it with fantasy football and analytics, and we want to have everything be empirical, and I can prove everything like a mathematical equation. And truthfully, football is some of that, and you can't ignore it. But a lot of it is what you alluded to, and that is the emotional and obviously physical part of the game and mental part of the game, which will probably determine who wins the game on Sunday night. And both of these teams are strong in that area. Now, let me say this, like the Bengals haven't lost since Halloween. They, right now, are the hottest team in the NFL. The Chiefs have lost once since Halloween and once since Columbus Day, okay? Or near Columbus Day. They lost to Buffalo about that time. But they've lost once, and it was to Cincinnati. And the national narrative has been, oh my gosh, Cincinnati owns these guys. It's been 45-0 every one of these. I can take you back in every one of these games. Think about Byron Pringle's kickoff return for a touchdown that gets called back because of a hold in the game a year ago in Week 17. If that stands, the Chiefs probably win that game. And last year in the AFC Championship game, we know the all too famous play at the end of the first half. If the Chiefs go up at that point 24-10 and get the ball to start the third quarter, that's probably different. And then this year, the Chiefs have a 4-point lead. They're driving for a score to go up 2 scores in the fourth quarter on a 19-yard reception, and Kelsey gets stripped of the ball. Now, you can boil those 3 games down to those 3 areas, and it's not exactly like any of them have been 49-0. That's where, I guess to your point, the whole equation of mental, physical, preparation, analytics, all comes into play with this game. But these two teams are much more even than maybe has been portrayed nationally.
Defensively, the Chiefs are a team that has played their best football here down the stretch. And going back to the Cincinnati game, it kind of represents a turning point a little bit in their performances. They were markedly better and more improved coming out of that Cincinnati game. What do you think will be the biggest factor defensively for the Chiefs against this Bengals offense? The thing that has to be better if they are to there's no stopping those weapons and Joe Burrow, but contain them in a way that will allow the Chiefs to walk out victorious.
Okay, I'd like to give you like a super tricky answer. But truthfully, and I work side by side with a Topeka named Lucas Boyd. He went to Logan Junior High. He went to Seaman High School. He married a Seaman girl, and he's a huge asset to us now in our 65 TPT production crew. There's probably people out there listening that know this guy. The reason I say that is we've talked about this with him. This game is going to be a matter of being physical. It's going to have to be physical with them. The Cincinnati Bengals stunned the Buffalo Bills and ran it right up their tail. I mean, ran the ball up their tail. And Joe Mixon, 20 carries, 105 yards. You just mentioned what's the key here for this defense that's playing much better, and that is not being destroyed in the run game or making tackles on the first hit on a very, very cold night, which it's going to be, or get people to the ball. As Steve Spagnuolo told me today, we got speed. We got to get people to the ball. We can't just do this alone. But the Bengals destroyed the Buffalo Bills because they were able to run the ball so effectively. Keep in mind, Joe Mixon did not play on December the 4th. Samaje Perine did and had 150 all-purpose yards. But I'm just saying we need a little Seaman Viking, Silver Lake toughness here that I see every day from my submate here, Lucas Boyd, best known for Seaman Viking All-American in soccer.
We're talking to Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, brought to you as always by our good friends at Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. A little bit earlier today because we are off early due to coverage.
Wait a minute, guys. I just gave you a Logan Junior High reference, didn't I?
You did, correct.
Yes. Always remember, never forget Logan Junior High. Side of one of the greatest high school football games I ever saw, and that was Smith Center's 3-0 win over Rossville, when Rossville gave up no touchdowns all year and didn't make it to state or win state because they lost to Smith Center. That was at Logan's Field. Historic. Every time you drive by it, it's like driving by a great battlefield.
I've got to say, Mitch, it is amazing to me. And, as people here, and Dan and I who do this for a living, talk about sports every day, have this deep knowledge of history and tradition, the fact that you know everything about Chiefs history, you have a deep breadth of knowledge of Kansas State history at the very least, and then the most knowledge of anyone on earth about Kansas high school football history, it truly has me in awe. And I mean that as a total compliment.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I love Kansas high school football at all levels, from 6-man all the way up to 6A. Well, anytime I can mention, being on the great airways of WIVW and mention Topeka High School sports or Silver Lake or Rossville, or I got to get St. Mary's in there, I guess, state champions. Way to go. Coached by a Smith Center alum, by the way, and Coach Shank. Yeah, for sure.
No, well, we appreciate that. And we do have, again, high school sports coverage coming up here at the top of the hour. I did want to ask, though, Mitch, for this matchup between Cincinnati and the Chiefs coming up this weekend, what is it about the Cincinnati defense, from what you've seen on film and from what you've seen from them over the past year and a half when these teams have faced off, that makes them so difficult and, frankly, makes it seem as though they play their best football late in the year?
Cincinnati is the most underrated defense in the National Football League. Game, set, match. No weaknesses on the team. I think the fact they're underrated is there's no superstars on the team. Although when you look at Trey Hendrickson, who has led the NFL now 3 consecutive years with outside pass rushers with at least 300 snaps, he has led the NFL more than any other human for 3 years in pressure rate percentage. That includes being a New Orleans Saint. The Chiefs have played him now 3 years in a row, Saint, Bengals, Bengals, and he is a very, very difficult player to deal with. But DJ Reader up front. Hill had the interception against Patrick last year in the AFC Championship game. Sam Hubbard, we saw him run for almost 100 yards with that ball that came loose against the Ravens. The linebackers, Logan Wilson, changed their entire defense last year. The reason they beat us and got to the AFC Super Bowl was Logan Wilson, who was Josh Allen's teammate at the University of Wyoming. Jermaine Pratt's nasty. The secondary gets a little cranky. Safeties are good. Eli Apple likes to talk, but his teammates, and I'm going to tell you, Cam Taylor-Britt, the rookie out of Nebraska, who was a second-round pick, might be the best DB the Bengals have. I know he's got a ton of respect from our offensive coaches. So you ask me, why are they so good? Because they're consistent. They have good players, and they have no weaknesses, front, middle, back.
Mitch, I think saying that Eli Apple likes to talk might be the understatement of the century.
Well, Eli Apple did what I don't know if there's 5 other humans on earth that could do it, because it was amazing what he did, because he got the entire Buffalo Bills fan base to cheer for the Chiefs. He got the Bills Mafia to do backflips off tables in the parking lot to beat the Bengals, and it's the Chiefs. So thank you, Eli Apple. It takes a lot to get that done, but he did it.
Oh, man, it should be a blast coming up on Sunday from GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. Chiefs versus Bengals for the AFC Championship. And to break it all down, the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk, brought to you, as always, by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. Mitch, we appreciate you being flexible with us on this Thursday afternoon. Thank you so much, and enjoy the game coming up on Sunday. I know you are going to appreciate it as much as anyone, a 5th straight AFC Championship game appearance. So have fun. We're looking forward to the call.
Okay, you want the nugget of the night?
Oh, absolutely.
Like this one.
Absolutely.
The Hy-Vee nugget of the night. Here's your Hy-Vee nugget of the night. Okay, Patrick Mahomes led the National Football League in yards per game passing, right?
Right.
He led the NFL in touchdown passes. Second on that list in yards per game passing was Cincinnati's Joe Burrow. And also second on the list for touchdown passes was one Joe Burrow. So in the AFC Championship game, you've got the leader in touchdown passes per game, 1 and 2, with the 1 and 2 touchdown passes per game. You know the last time that happened?
Oh, the last time that happened. No, I have no idea.
I'll fill it in here. 1943.
Wow.
Sammy Baugh against Sid Luckman. I kid you not. And this, by the way, is my favorite week, maybe in Topeka sports. Is it the Topeka Invitational Tournament, Shawnee Heights Thunderbird Classic? Does Seaman have one now, or they don't have a tournament?
No, Seaman does not. The Seaman girls will be down in Emporia this week. They're at the Glacier's Edge tournament.
Glacier Edge tournament. This is my favorite week, man. You get the Topeka Invitational going. We need to host those back in Municipal Auditorium and tell the Symphony they got to just move out for like a month and play those games back in there. Let's do it right.
Hey, no complaints from us. We would all be absolutely in favor of that. Mitch, we appreciate the time, man. Have fun on Sunday.
Got you, boys. See ya.
Again, that's Mitch Holthus, voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, gracious enough to join Brendan and I earlier this afternoon. Again, brought to you by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. Real quick, injury reports for both teams are out. No changes for the Chiefs. McCole Hardman limited today with that pelvis injury. Mahomes, McKinnon, and Gay, all full participants. For the Bengals, one notable change, Hayden Hurst, their starting tight end, did not appear on the participation list yesterday. On it today, limited with a calf injury. DJ Reader returned to full practice after a rest day. So did Sam Hubbard. Alex Kappa and Jonah Williams remain out with their respective injuries, did not practice. It again looks like the Bengals will be down 3 offensive line starters for Sunday. One final break on this short edition of 580 Sports Talk. Final words next.
Charlie's Car Wash. Choose the best. Choose Charlie.
A quick final word to wrap up a quick edition of 580 Sports Talk. Patrick Mahomes is already certified. Anybody trying to tell you there's anybody better than him at playing the quarterback position is lying to you. Trust your eyes. He's still the man. If Cincinnati's got a better team than Kansas City, then Joe Burrow will go to 4-0 against Patrick Mahomes. But that won't be Burrow 4-0 over Mahomes. It'll be Bengals 4-0 over the Chiefs. I'd still rather have number 15. Sunday on a bum ankle, at home, on the road, in Africa, wherever you want him, I'd rather have 15. That's going to wrap up 580 Sports Talk. Coverage from the Thunderbird Classic coming your way in 30 seconds here on 580 WIBW.